Hello, so Sick Nash fan back, and this time I wanted to show you some of the battle adjustments in real time of the Fatal Fury City of the Wolves patch. Now, it wasn't the biggest patch, it was kind of small, but it adjusted a few things that could have been quite annoying to deal with. So first and foremost, we have B.Jenet. They adjusted her Rolling Thunder, which is going to be her rev blow. So they expanded the hurt box and the push box on the first and second part of the move, quickened the startup on the second part of the move, also expanded the hitbox. So basically what this means with her rev blow specifically is when you actually do a reactionary rev blow now, she won't go past you. Some instances you might jab her, you do the rev blow and she would actually go past you because she goes in the air, so she might float behind you. But now that the hurt box is actually bigger, it is actually easier to hit her. So here's going to be an example of how her hurt box was changed and how you can get a full conversion when you do a reactionary rev blow to beat her. So as you see, now she will not go past you. You will actually make contact with your rev blow and you'll get a full conversion. Now we will talk about Hotaru Futaba. Now she was considered one of the best characters in the game, if not the best character in the game, but she did receive a few nerfs. So her Tenshinsho, which is her uppercut, both the light and heavy version, got changes. Her light uppercut before was a 4-frame uppercut, so you could not safe jump it. You had to empty jump it. Now they changed it to 5 frames, so you can actually do safe jump setups on her. And her heavy version, they reduced the travel distance, so she can no longer do a stand A into uppercut. She cannot do 2 lights into uppercut because of the distance that her uppercut travels now. So that is actually a huge nerf to Hotaru, and I do feel like she dropped down a couple of tiers. So let me show you. So for one, as you see, her light uppercut is now 5 frames, meaning you can easily safe jump her now. So beforehand, that actually would have hit B.Jenet, but now as you see, B.Jenet will get a free safe jump against his character. The fact that you can actually safe jump Hotaru now creates a huger threat that was non-existent before, because you just knew the 4-frame would actually clip you if you committed to the safe jump. And now the biggest nerf to Hotaru is that she can no longer do light into uppercut. It will just whiff in front of the opponent. And this is huge because the fact that she can no longer do this means that her confirmed game is a lot weaker. Now, of course, she can still go into heavy into uppercut routes, but the light confirms were for stagger pressure, and now her staggers got a lot weaker, so she has to rely more on stuff like this, which is a lot less damage versus uppercutting the opponent. Like I said, she is still strong, but much weaker than the before patch. Alright, let's talk about Hokutomaru. He also received a few nerfs, but I will go a lot more into detail on what actually happened. So his Needin jump, which is his double jump, reduced the travel distance, and counter hit state will now apply during the move. So now when he does a double jump, he is in counter hit state. However, there is a workaround, because if you feint in the air, it will actually cancel the counter hit state. So he is pretty safe to still be double jumping around the screen. Now his Nippo Bakun Punch expanded the hurt box, expanded push box, change frame advantage on block from -27 to -5, and increased pushback distance on block. So basically what this means, that is his rev blow. His rev blow, you can no longer do 2 rev blows back to back. He had the grounded to the aerial version. You can no longer do that on block. You can only do that on hit. Now, with that being said, this character had the adjustment from -27 to -5 because beforehand he could actually do 2 actions. So they adjusted it to make it a lot safer, but it is still unsafe because -5 is mostly jab punishable by the whole cast. Now there is some pushback to the move now, but some characters can still reach him. So I will show that in just a second. Also, command combo now only activates when the first part hits, and Zetsu Hishoken, the distance is now heavily reduced, meaning that when he does his ball super, a lot of people were hyper defending it for, you know, less chip, more meter, etc., but the pushback was the key to weaken the pushback with the hyper defense. Well, now if you block it, the pushback is non-existent, so you can punish him accordingly. All right, so as you see, when he double jumps, he has now countered his state. If you hit him, you'll get a little more damage. Like I said before, if you double jump and then you feint though, all you see is punish, no counter hit state anymore. So if you do feint in the air, you will take away the counter hit state. So it's still smart to just feint as a Hokutomaru player if you're gonna jump, just so you do not get counter hitted out of the air. Because if you do get counter hitted from like an uppercut or something, from like a Terry or anything, you're gonna get max juggled into a lot of damage. So just remember to feint that. They, like I said, they did nerf the range at which he can double jump. So as you see, it doesn't go as far, but in my opinion, that could kind of be looked at as a buff, because even though he doesn't go that far, it still puts him in range for a cross up at these really deceptive ranges. So I feel like his mix up got a little stronger just because of that nerf, even though they tried to nerf the distance for the ambiguous cross up, but I feel like it's still pretty ambiguous. So you would still have to like rev guard it. Now, when we're going to talk about his rev blow, big change, like I said, he cannot do multi-rev blow. As you see, I'm mashing it. He only gets one. So it is -5 now, universally. And he is probably the only character in the game with a actual minus rev blow now that I know of that's actually just straight up minus, like -5, where you can actually punish it with a button. And as you see, it is a tighter punish, but you can get a crouching A punish with most of the cast and go into some type of special move. And because it is counter his state, depending on your character, you might actually be able to do an EX move off of your crouch A because of the counter his state. And as you see, that actually combo just because it's counter his state. So that is pretty bad for Hokuto, because if you do block it, you can get a pretty juicy punish. And as you see, once he does the ball super now, there will be no pushback. So you see, I'm right next to him still. Before the patch, I would have been about right about here, or I would have had to do this just to make it no pushback. Now, this is still good to do. Don't get it twisted. You should still hyper defend it. But for anybody that's not very comfortable with that, you will have no pushback. So you can actually just punish Hokutomaru with a regular combo. And now let's talk about Salvatore. Now, they reverted the cancelable frames on Magic Step. So beforehand, he used to have an infinite, but they had to patch it out because it was absolutely shattered. It was broken. But they reverted the cancelable frames back, so he can actually still get really, really good pressure, and he has some new combo routes. So as you know, Salvatore for Magical Step, he has two different overheads. He has that overhead from C and that overhead from B. Now, he does not have a low option in this, but he can always cancel out into a dash. And because he can cancel out into a dash, he can actually get a reward from a low that I will show after I show you some of these overhead conversions. So as you see, he can actually link more combos because of this change, so it makes his overhead on your wake up super devastating to get hit by. But also, I want to show you a low option as well, so if your opponent is blocking standing because they see you in Magical Step, he has another option to blow up his opponent for standing up. So if you have a rev blow available, you're actually able to go into that full chain into a rev blow to make his low a lot scarier, because you can just dash cancel out of the magic step. So that makes magic step, when you see it, it's like a true 50-50, because he can dash cancel out of it. It makes the high low a very scary threat. All in all, with the meta, I think the meta shook up slightly, but not too crazy. I think Hotaru dropped a few spots. I do think she's still a very strong character, but those nerfs definitely hurt her. I think Hokutomaru is still about the same. I think he's still one of the best characters in the game. I also think Kane boosted up because of this, so I think he's probably one of the best characters in the game as well right now. I think Salvatore stocks definitely went up. He's a much scary and strong character now versus how he was last patch. So if you were looking to pick up the character, I think this would be the perfect time. And of course, B.Jenet is still as powerful as I've been saying. I think she's still a high tier character, not used by many, but I definitely think she's a super strong character. What I would definitely say is pick the character you want, because you never know what balance changes can come to the game. Your character can go from potentially one of the worst characters in the game to one of the best characters in the game in just a patch. So you never know. But I would definitely say pick the character you're comfortable with, that you like, and keep on rocking. Until next time, peeps. Peace.